All right, so we're gonna pick off where we left off. We have a couple more topics under Let's Go to Work, and we ended up here with divers. So Rob, you want to kick us off with divers?
Sure. So the first bullet point here, we're gonna dive a little bit into double divers and that sort of thing in segment number 22. But personally, most of the time I'm running 2 divers. There's occasions where I'm running 4. Some days when they want them, you know, there's no reason not to put more in the water. I typically run a diversified spread and then adjust. So I know that Pete runs 4 quite a bit. But really, it's just, for me, like I said, it's a decision to let the fish tell me what they want and go from there. Personally, my lead lengths, I use my wingspan. So when I have an approximate 6-foot wingspan. So my diver leads are 2 pulls, gives me about 12 feet. Not so much leader, pound toss, but typically I'm using fluorocarbon. There's very few applications of mono for me. I just like the durability of fluoro. 20 pound for spoons, maybe 15 for spoons, and 30 and occasionally 40 for flashers. Flashers, meat, flasher flies. But like I said, for me personally, it's fluorocarbon.
2 divers for me most of the time, unless Pete shames me into 4 divers. Lead lengths, I wrap around my diver 22 times. Always 22 times. Don't ask me on the number why 22, but that's what I've decided is where I like it. So it's 22 wraps around the diver. Spoons, 15 or 20 pounds, depending if I'm brown trout fishing or for salmon fishing. If I'm salmon fishing, 20 pounds. 30 pound for tractors, and always fluorocarbon. Pete?
Same way, fluorocarbon, 20-pound spoons, 25-pound fluorocarbon for flashers minimum, and 12-foot leader lengths. So that's very similar. We're going to talk about double divers a little later in detail. I run 30-pound 7-strand wire torpedo.
I'm the same way.
I run 20 pounds baling. My low divers, if I do run a high diver, it's 30-pound baling.
Main difference is Casey's going to achieve a little bit more depth with 20-pound, obviously, versus 30-pound. But my opinion is, you know, I've tried 20-pound before. I've had break-offs, and I don't see, for me, a lot of difference. So sometimes being able to get those divers further away from my boat isn't a bad thing. So I stick with 30. It's kind of bulletproof, and Rob the same way.
I don't have a lot of break-offs, so I don't know what talking about.
I think we all agree, none of us really run snubbers. Snubbers are, you like them or you don't, it really doesn't matter. It's whatever you're comfortable with. If your rods are relatively limber, flexible, it kind of acts as a snubber. So I don't really run very many snubbers, except if I'm really coho fishing or targeting steelhead. I kind of like a snubber at that point, just because of the way those fish react. When we're pretty much king fishing, I pretty much get away from snubbers. And these guys don't run at all, right? 0.
There's no stubbers. For me, kingfishing, it really comes down to the drag. So I typically let those fish run, let them tire out. Takes a little work out of the snubber. It eliminates that totally.
Casey, you're a junk line guy.
Yeah, junk line's stealthy presentation. I think some mornings they start right out hot on the junk lines and they go the whole entire day. But as the day goes on, they 100% chip in. Stealthy, it's away from the boat, it's quiet out there, it's not, you know, it's doing its own thing, it's not a huge spread to deter the fish. A lot of times my junk lines are deeper than everything else. I'm running 600 copper, 500 copper. It's down there, quiet, you know, that big lazy king that's down there, not sure if he wants to eat some more. Makes a mistake.
And our junk lines, guys, are lead cords, or weighted. I run weighted steel, these guys run copper. So we are referring our junk lines to our long lines, basically. Lead core, weighted steel, and copper.
And some of the bigger stuff can be tiresome, but we wouldn't use it if it didn't catch fish. So.
I think we're all...
Time after time, reeling in a 500 copper can get a little tiresome, but, you know, if it didn't catch fish, we probably wouldn't use it. But they catch way too many fish to ignore.
Our leaders are probably going to be similar to our divers. We're going to beef up with flashers, all flasher presentations. We're going to go a little lighter with spoon presentations, just like our divers. And I think we're like 20 to 30 foot leads, or excuse me, leader lengths on our junk lines as a rule, 20 to 30 feet.
When the bite turns back, I'm going to use all my resources. Have I been seeing fish? When's my last bite? What did it hit? Why did it hit? Was I turning? Was I slow? If I'm not seeing something, I'm trolling out. I'm getting out of that dead water. I'm not wasting any more time. I'm going to use my phone. I'm talking to my guys on the water. Calling Pete, calling Rob. I'm exploring. I am going somewhere else. If I see the fish and I'm not catching them, I may spend some time there, but if I'm in dead water, I'm out. Don't want to waste time in dead water.
This happens every day normally. You know, again, we're not talking a popcorn bite where you just crush fish all morning and all day. This is everybody who fishes Lake Ontario expects the bite to slow down at one point, correct? And then you get the morning bite, and you're waiting to see how long the bite lasts, Bob, right? Sometimes it's a flat. I call it a flash bite. You get half an hour and it's a good bite, and then it's like then it goes to grind, make changes, you start picking. Some days the bite's 2 hours. It depends on how many fish you're under or above. But ultimately, normally, the bite will fizzle at some point. The fish are done eating, the fish swam away, the lake changed, the water changed, something happened to slow the bite down. So this is where I think a lot of great fishermen separate themselves from average fishermen or good fishermen. These things here make a huge difference. So what do we do that's different than maybe you guys when the bite slows?
I think it's important to make those adjustments. So our tools tell us, hey, it's a long line bite. You know, maybe it's later in the day. Maybe that's where the adjustment comes. We're trying to add more junk lines in. Maybe Pete's got a stellar diver bite, but his riggers are slow. Maybe that's where we're adding those other two additional, or maybe just a third diver into this spread. Same thing with riggers. Maybe we're stretching out those leads. Maybe we're taking them out of the water. So little things I'm trying to.
Something as simple as the water's moved. Your probe was in 60, now it's 66 degrees down there. Water came up, you gotta drop from every 15 feet to get back and kill someone. Something that simple some days, without having your tools.
Yep. Fish finder, right? Fish finder was full of fish, full of bait, and then what? It's vapor screen all of a sudden, right? So obviously, God didn't pull them all out of the water, so they went somewhere, right? So we're gonna go north, south, east, or west at that point with our boats. And then the clues, direction of the wind, all start to play into our minds. Could be a phone call from a guy out north of us in 100-foot deeper water. He's getting some bites. So at some point, those fish went somewhere. So we use our electronics to tell us things changed. We look at other boats. We talk to other boats. We don't see anybody moving rods. Everybody's on the death troll. No one's scooping. We're not scooping. Time to leave. Things changed.
Everybody know what a death troll is? You know, my GPS, my chart plotter, where you saw me out to the unknown, that's a death troll. Look at that.
So what are some of the changes you would do, Casey, when the bite just kind of tanked? And you're still there, maybe.
Lights tanked me, I'm still there. I'm gonna check all my meat. My cockroach could have took a short bump I didn't see. My rigger might have had a bite, I bumped the bait up, it's not fishing right. I make sure everything's fishing right. I'm gonna check my riggers, I may eliminate a rigger. I'm gonna put some stuff real deep. I always believe that there's always fish that we don't see down there, 160, 170, 180 down. My 700 copper some days is the best route to go, and I'm not seeing a fish. They're down there, we just don't mark them. So I'm gonna put something super, super deep, slowing down. I'm gonna work an area if I'm still seeing fish. If I'm not, I'm trolling out, you know, but I'm gonna also remember the way my bites came. Was I getting going west? Was I getting going east? I'm gonna try to go in that direction because it was west bite. So I'm gonna go that direction, but mine's pretty long.
Might be as simple as turning your boat around. You know, you kept trolling west, you got bite, bit, and you kept on going for another 30 minutes. Might be as simple as turn that boat around, go right back down your track line, same depth. You might find those fish are still there. They might not be there, but they might be there, so give them another look. Simple as that. Rob? Come on, Rob. You gotta make it short though.
Same thing, I will touch on one thing, Casey pointed out, maybe fishing a little deeper. My fish finder, my zoom isn't my target area. Usually it's 50, it could be 100 foot deeper than what I'm actually fishing. Kings have a tendency to get lazy, and I think they want quiet time. They'll sneak down into that ice water. They fed all morning. Now they just want to sink in the water column, put some darkness on them, and just hang out and relax. If you're not looking, you'll never see them. So a lot of fish down there that people don't see because maybe we're only seeing the top 80, maybe we're only seeing the top 100, where there's fish down, 120, 140.
They're no different than us. If we can go to the gas station a mile from the house, or 10 miles from the house, you go to the closer one. So many guys are driving over them, and 90% of the boats out there are going to fish that 46, 48 degree water, 44. Well, if you're that guy that's underneath everybody, you're the only one down there playing with those fish. They're your fish to play with the whole entire day because everyone's content fishing above them. Fish down in there. Send at least one rod down there. Keep them honest. But they don't have to come up. They don't like the sun. They don't like shallow water. They can be lazy. Put some meat down there and watch them eat.
Pete, what's that a picture of? Is that Casey running the Pete?
He's running to me.
Yeah, I was running to Pete. I was going to drop some fish off so his clients had something to take home.
So we always have a plan B, and sometimes it's not written until we see what's happening, but certainly as charter captains, for clients, we have a plan B. But there's been many times fishing inside, maybe we catch that early bite rather than, die in that dead water. We run 12 miles offshore and continue our day.
We don't sit rot in the dead water, do we?
Never.
Not unless there's no other choices, but usually you got a choice. You got to try somewhere else. So that is what we call Plan B. We say rack them, start reeling. We get our customers, start reeling, and we're going somewhere else. We won't sit there the rest of the morning.
You've already spent money on the boat, you've already spent money on the gear, you're worth it, spend the money on the fuel. Don't sit there, oh man, it's gonna cost me $175 a rod, go. You might not catch as many fish as we are, you might go out there and land on the mother boat, you're worth it, remember that. Fishing gear, hunting gear, you're worth it.
So Joe Yeager thought about this topic this spring. He said, hey, let's have a topic, boat distinctions. If I walked down the dock and looked at your boat or Casey's boat, what would I see a little different than your boat? So that's what this topic is. Rob's got it, boat distinctions.
I think that I fished with a lot of different guys over the years. It's funny how different things are. I mean, certainly doing a presentation on king fishing, how many different things that the three of us do. I talked about the fact that the first year, when we did this last year, we probably wasted more time bullshitting about the fact that how you do things, and we really trying to clear those up. We spent a lot of time last year, but really it's those little things, those little distinctions that little things on the boat. So.
Nice picture, Casey. Who took that?
Thanks, Pete.
You're welcome.
On my boat, I like to have a lot of rod holders. They move the rod, get it out of the way. The last thing you want to do is tangle and lose a fish on somebody because you didn't have a spot to put the rod. So I think the electronics is huge on my boat. I have the best electronics, I believe, Garmin, Fishhawk, Panoptics, my Canon Optimums out linked to my Fishhawk. I'm in tune with everything that's going on while I'm out there, which is increasing my catch and my confidence while I'm out there.
You also fish with your diver rods a little differently than us.
Yeah, I like to run my back, that would be, if I was only running one diver, it's behind my rigger here. So I don't have to, if the fish is banging on the rod here, I don't have to go around my rigger. I simply pull it out. This is where my out and down or down rigger rod is. So it's out of the way, I grab it out, and I'm good to go. It's just the way I've set up all my boats. Last year I added cleaning boards. I keep my tackle right there. It's a great station to set your stuff up on the way out. I'll have my meat in their heads. I'll have the tractors ready, my spoons ready. It's just a nice little spot there. I have it on a can of track or pedestal, quick in and out. I can take it off if I want to. I'm tall, so it's easy for me to net over it. Some guys it's harder. That's where I made it, so it's easy to take it in and out. But
I noticed that he doesn't advertise his nets.
No,
No.
he doesn't.
See where that net is?
I even got him colored blue.
I'd find him. I'd find him.
Blue to play with the boat, because Pete's looking.
So my boat distinction, this is the back of my boat, 3 riggers, diver rod holders, triple or quad trees, nothing really special. My distinctions, I'm a little OCD like Rob. I like my stuff organized. I like to know my spoons aren't all mixed up. I like to know where
This is
they're
a
at.
sickness.
Time out.
I tidied up for this picture.
This picture is so staged. If you see Pete's boat, it's a 5-gallon paddle with about 150
Tim,
spoons
is that
in it.
true?
Yes.
Tim, he's
Don't
got
lie to
one.
people, Pete. This is an honest school.
There's OCD and
This
then
might be
there's-
Rob's boat. Pete's boat does not look like that.
This is only my alewife bucket. These are all alewives, new alewives. I just all have a
It looks
bucket.
pretty
Hot
good.
last year to get
Looks
used
pretty
to
good.
for going
All right, next. So anyway, all my flashers are in this nice little tray, all nice and organized. We try and put them back. Spoons go back, all this. So this helps me. I fish terribly when I'm disorganized. I can't. It just kills me. And then I put these little bungees on my rods. I've lost diver rods. I've almost lost diver rods. So I've got these on all my boats. They're just little rod bungees.
Raise your hand if you ever lost a diver rod. It's awesome.
That's about $2.
Good times.
$2 a piece for those. So anyway, and then one more thing. I label my reels. I got a lot of rods and reels, so for me, I organize them all, and I put a label on all of those. I put one at the top of the reel, and then I put one at the bottom, so when this thing's up in the rod rack, I can look up and then pull a 300 down.
Label makers are cheap. You can buy one off of Amazon. They're so nice. I used to physically write on, put a label on them and then write them on. They wear off over time. Label makers so much nicer.
Yep. OCD Rob, what do you do?
So Pete says that I have OCD, but I think after the slide he just showed that he wins that battle. One of the things that you'll notice in the morning dock walk-in, I had mentioned that there's a sink in the back of the boat with my baits are all ready to rock and roll. We're ready to fish in the morning. Probably one of the differences with my boat, I spend a lot of time standing right there with that view, looking out the back of the boat. My center rigger tells me a lot of what's going on in the boat. I don't spend a lot of time at the helm. It's all my information, everything I need to know, for the most part, is there. My trolling bags within arm's reach on either side. I can quickly make a speed adjustment. We get locked into a fish. Maybe I can do that. I can slow us down by dropping bags in. A lot going on there, but a lot of information. Minus that, I can tell the direction of troll, what current's doing. If I have a slide, I can make those adjustments. A lot going on there. Obviously with Fish Finder and all that information there. Panoptics is telling me some good stuff. Fish hawk data. Good to go. So, a lot of days with that view right there.
So this might be the best topic of the day. Chris Larson, are you tuned in? That's the fish hawk guy back there.
Hi, Chris.
This is what we call a confession session. I believe no one's ever had speakers up here to confess their sins. Joe, is that true? Correct. Joe's not sure reason to get here.
He insists.
I know.
Look at the smile on his
Joey,
We're gonna apologize for Pete on this.
it's like going to church.
This is at the dock.
Like we're going to the confessional right now. This is the confessional one.
Alright, we're good. It's funny.
I'm melting over here. Lightning bolt.
All right.
My weaknesses, probably my biggest weakness, I wanted to eat meat. For the longest time, I forced meat, and it's not always a meat bite. And as much as I want it to be, it's not. So I've become a better spoon fisherman, and I've learned to fish that upper 40, upper 50, where those fish are when I can't catch them on meat there. It's tough for me to do. I have to change my speed, but I force myself to do it because being on that lake, you can't just be one type of fisherman. You need to adapt, especially in my position where I'm a charter captain. I can't say, oh guys, they weren't biting me today, we didn't catch them. So that's one of my weaknesses. I'm stubborn. I'm wicked stubborn. I want things to work. I'll force it. What I've learned is you can't make me bite. So accept it. every day I go out, I have a hot box that's probably been the same exact tractors for the last 6-7 years. I'm putting 2 new combos in the water every day. I want to find that next hot rig. I want to find that rig that's going to take a couple extra fish for me. I know the rigs that work for me already, but I have a junk rod or I have a rigger that I'm 100% going to put in the water, and I can watch Panoptics. I can see, you know what, that crazy lure down there is spooking fish away, and I'm putting it on marketplace and Pete's probably buying it.
Jackson's buying it.
Yeah. Finding breaks. So on the east end of the lake, I don't have the opportunity a lot of times to find a break every fish. So it's pretty much May when I'm out here that I get to see this, you know, difference in the water, the currents, the breaks. And I struggle with that. I've struggled with that for a long time. Like I said, he's amazing. He's probably the best guy I know. Just pulling rods, running offshore, and how'd you do, Pete? Well, shut down, fucker. You know, it's just bam, he's on. So what I've learned is I talk to him. I try to get as much knowledge as I can from him because I know he's great at it. And little by little, I become better at finding those breaks, finding the down breaks, what to look for. I owe it to him. I don't like to give him a lot of credit. Thanks, Pete.
Thanks, Casey.
That's all I suck at. Everything else I'm perfect at.
Is there any truth to this one?
That's my girlfriend Elaine. She outfishes me a lot. I've learned that I'm gonna catch bigger fish, and I'm fortunate enough to go fish with somebody that compliments me.
You've increased your network too, haven't you?
Yeah,
She has a 31 tier also.
She owns a 31. She got her Captain's license. The most frustrating day last year is when she outfished me and all of us. Yeah, it was humbling. But you know, I'm proud of her. She runs a lot of time with no mate. And last year, you know, she caught one of the biggest browns I saw. She tried new stuff. You know, like I said, you got to be open-minded. And she went out for salmon, and the salmon bite wasn't good in Mexico Bay. And she's like, I'm going to try to catch walleye. No one really fishes for walleye. So she goes in 30 feet of water. She's got 3 rods out by herself, running the flicker minnow looking for walleye, and rod screamed. She thought she had a king. We never weighed it. I weighed it frozen. It's 15 and change pound brown trout. Netted it by herself. You know, she sends it to me. It's just, she's got a golden horseshoe. She's, you know, lucky like that. But she makes me proud. I like to see, you know, people who catch fish be successful, and she does it. It's cool. No smiling around.
So yeah, I guess I'd start out by saying that I don't smile. I think maybe that's something I suck at. I know.
I learned this. So I had a guy in a boat and caught some trophy fish. It was like a 15-pound brown trout, and he's holding it, and he won't smile. I'm like, smile, buddy. It's a big fish. No. So I take that picture. He goes, now I'll smile. Sorry for all the females in here. The non-smiling picture he was sending to his wife. He was there supporting his buddies.
Wow.
The smiling picture, miserable. I went just for those guys. I didn't really have a good time. I go again for them. And the smiling picture he sent to all his buddies. So maybe that was what's going on here.
Yeah, that's my typical fish pitcher pose right there. Captain Happy. No, really. I made a couple of notes. You know, this was obviously something new for us. Like, hey, what are you bad at, right? I'm stubborn. Don't tell my wife this, but I'm admitting to being stubborn. I do get stuck in rods thinking. I think Casey said something about force feeding fish. Like we want them to do certain things, and sometimes that's just not the answer. Trying to get outside of that stubbornness. Stubbornness can be a good ally on some days, but a lot of times it also hurts you. So maybe it's 50-50. But I am certainly stubborn. Once again, I'll tell you, don't tell my wife that I admitted to that, because she tells me all the time, and I'm like, no, it's you, honey, really. There's certainly a lure funk. I mean, we have hundreds and hundreds of lures on all the boats. We're gonna go spend thousands. This group right here is gonna spend thousands this weekend out there. Of that, you know, we end up with a pile at the end of the year. We could probably throw in like Pete's bucket, you know what I mean? Of the stuff that we're actually using on a consistent basis. My kid fishes with me quite a bit. He's 22, he knows everything. And he gets me out of that a little bit, because he'll show up with some stuff and be like, hey, right, you can get it, put it over there somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, run it. So he's helping me with that a little bit. But sometimes you need that friend to kind of bust you out of a rut and try some other things. I don't like chasing other people's spreads, but occasionally run into something like Pete should be running a bullfrog, you know. Yeah, and my comfort zone is offshore. I am not a big fan of fishing near shore. It just seems so temperamental to me. I would rather every day just take off out of home port, run 10 miles, and chase it to the Canadian border every single day and figure it out there versus trying to figure out all these moody fish inside. But it's not always the case. We run over, the problem with that is I run over fish all the time. Hungry, active, box-filling fish. I want to do that, but sometimes really the answer is that inside bite. But like I said, my comfort zone is offshore, offshore, offshore. Man, when I get a setup at 70 foot of water and fish, I don't know, I start shaking. So, some days that's the way to do it, right? Well, I'll never compensate for being stubborn, so working on that one, working. So work in progress. So we're getting better every day, but at the end of the day, you know, never stop learning. So challenge yourself every day.
All right, Chris, you can cut it now. We got these guys recorded. Faster. You can cut it there.
We don't suck at anything. Next slide.
I do actually. I got my weaknesses. What I suck at really is I have a tendency to overload the mule. Sometimes I get stubborn. I put too many rods in the water, and I try and force feed too many rods, and it usually hurts me. So it's hard for me to pull rods back out of the water. You've got all these toys on the boat, so sometimes I want to put too many rods in the water, and you know it's back to the overload the rules. So it's hard to pull them back out. So that takes discipline for me. I'm like Rob, I have a tendency to run past fish, so I'm trying to not do that. I'm trying to discipline myself to fish a little bit more inside, stay inside longer. Probably the other thing is I throw the dice a little bit too much. You know, I'll just for no reason take an 8-mile run offshore when the whole fleet's fishing within 2 miles of shore. Sometimes that gets me in trouble, but if I do, I'll come back. So I gamble a little bit on the water. Probably the last thing is sometimes I don't fish high enough to start the morning. What I mean is sometimes we go right away and we're dropping our crap down 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, and there's fish porpoising outside the boat. They're up on the surface, it's dark, they're 20 feet down. So that's probably another thing is I try to discipline myself to fish higher in the water. Need to discipline myself to fish higher in the water column, especially in that morning period, and then adjust. So my goal is to start higher every morning and then go from there instead of fishing deeper and go from there. How do I compensate it? For me, I try to remind myself all the time about these, especially before a tournament. In a tournament, I will tell a teammate, look, if I start to twitch, okay, and it's early, tell me to relax, fish a little longer, don't pull and run just yet. So hang in there a little longer, be patient. So I will remind my teammates, don't let me do it. If I want to go, just tell me to hold on, think about it a little longer.
Do you listen to them?
I do, most of them.
He does.
I won't listen to Jim Irene. Jim here?
Right here?
Jim, we had a conversation.
The guy that's laughing over here.
That guy, I won't listen to Jim Irene. But there's certain, I would listen to you, which we did, I did. And I'll go as far as to leave a note on my dash, especially before a tournament. A little reminder note with a sticky that says, don't do it, or remember to leave at 10 a.m. if the bite's bad. So I'll leave little help notes for Pete. That's it. That happens some days.